Hi Logan, it's Mrs Crowther here, just in her art room. I was speaking to Mum the other day and she was saying that you like to do photograph style drawings or photographic realism, which is, I believe, where you draw something really carefully and then colour it in so that it looks just like a photograph. And I thought I'd share with you one of the techniques that I use today when I'm doing something similar. What I've got here are two colour ladders, and what I've done is I've used red at the base and then a red-orange and an orange and a yellow and so on and so forth. These are pencils and these are felt tip pens, and what I wanted to share with you today is a technique which I use so that when I'm doing drawings of different things, for instance this is a strawberry and an orange and a lime, then you can add a lot of photorealism to your work. So this ladder here, this colour ladder, starts off with red, and you can see that it's just a basic red colour. However, if I do something called colour mixing, so this is a darker red to begin with. If I take the lighter red and put it over the top of the darker red, then something really nice starts to happen. It enriches the colour, and you can see just by putting another layer over the top that the colour immediately becomes richer. Now the reason I was looking at the red was that in Captain Jack Sparrow, who we know and love, his headband in this particular picture is going to be red, so I know that I'm going to need a nice rich looking red colour just here. So I'm not going to propose to do all of this because it would take too long, but that of course you can see now, mixing the dark and the lighter red together gives you this much richer colour. It's the same with this particular colour here. This is the lighter red. If I was to mix a bit of orange with that, so that's the light red. If I then mix some orange in with this, so you get a much richer kind of orange as well, and so on and so forth. So you can see there a much richer kind of colour. Again, that's a nice colour for doing parts of his bandana around his head. Now you can do yourself a colour ladder. All you need is a piece of card or paper or whatever, and then just divide it up into sections and start off with the red and orange, yellow and so forth, and just build it up so that you end up with the colour ladder like this. And then you take this colour and mix it with that colour, you take the orange and mix it with that colour. If I was to take yellow and mix it with the orange, and after all, being an artist, you know, you're busy experimenting all the time with different techniques, so it's a really good one to have. So you can see by taking some of the yellow and mixing it with the orange, you get a much richer looking colour, and so on and so forth. Now another technique I wanted to share with you, if you look at the end here, we've got black. Now you might think black is a very boring sort of colour, but having said that, you can make a black look extra black, which might seem a bit silly. However, if I were to take say a red, a blue and a dark green, you can make your black look much richer depending on what type of black you want. You might want a black that would be, say, on the fur of an animal, which may well be a reddish black. You may want to have a bluish black, which might be on a racing car or something like that, and then you might want a greenish black, which might be to do with trees. So if you have a look, I've got my three blacks here, exactly the same, and I'm just going to overlay that with a little bit of red. Now you can see immediately, of course, you get a much richer looking black. That's a reddish black, which I'm sure you'll agree. I mean, sometimes my cats sit out in the sun, and I've got black cats, and quite often when the sun catches them, their fur looks a kind of reddish colour. just there. Now if I were to take the blue and mix it on top of the black, you can see immediately you get a sort of bluish black colour. It's still black, but it has a hint of blue in it, which is, you know, like racing cars or robot type characters, cartoon type characters. So you've got the reddish black, the bluish black, and now I'm going to do the greenish black. There we go. Now bearing in mind the colours that I'm using are simply Crayola pencils, but school pencils work equally well. So if I hold that up to the camera there, you can see you've got the reddish black, the bluish black and the greenish black, and they've all got a much nicer richness about them, which is great. So you can test out your colours by mixing them and blending them on the page, and then when you've come up with something you like to use, you can think, oh yes, okay, that was red with a bit of light red, and that was orange with a little bit of yellow added, and then you can look at your colours and think, oh, I know I'd like to use that for Jack Sparrow's hair, or I'd like to use that colour for his bandana. Now this is the same type of thing here, except I've used felt tip pens. Using felt tip pens also gives you a much deeper kind of colour, but you can mix felt tip pens when they're dry with colour pencils as well, and that's quite good fun because you get a much deeper richness of colour as well. So again, this is just mixing felt tip pen, which I've already put on there, with a red. Now you can see how deep that colour is, and if you were to use that on Captain Jack's bandana, you can see instantly that's a much richer colour, and if you're doing photorealistic pictures, that really helps to give you a good depth of colour. And so this is a slightly orangey red, so I've got a deep red. Let's have an orange red. It's a very deep colour there, and you can test out mixing lots of different colours together to see which one you prefer. Of course, what we're doing here is we're mixing what we call harmonious colours. These are colours which are from the same part of the colour family. These are warm colours here. So there we go. Now doing this video, you can watch it several times and then you can maybe pause it and have a go at doing something as well. So I've got some orange here, so I'm just going to put orange over the top of the orange. So that's the pen over the top of the felt tip pen, and you can see immediately it gives a much richer, deeper colour. And that's what I would have used on my orange when I was colouring it in. In fact, I would have used these colours blended together and then maybe a little bit of brown on top for a bit more of the detail, just in there. So, and then again, I've got the orange there, but this time I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow with that. Oops. If I can find a pencil that doesn't break. There we go. So here we've got a yellow orange. So there we've got a very deep orange. And here we've got a lighter orange. But immediately you can see the addition of a colour over the top of your felt tip pen creates a much richer tone, a much richer colour. And you can practice this by putting your felt tip pens on, taking your pencils and just blending over the top. Again, I've got here two blacks at the end, and if I take a red and a blue, I can do the same as I did for the pencils, except this time of course it's felt tip pens. So I can make my black a more blue black. There we go, and much richer, you can compare it to that one. And then a reddish black. Now these are quite good, you see the reddish black there, because you might find that on part of Jack Sparrow's bandana, for instance, he might have a shadow. So you might want to have a shadow that is black, but actually over the top of the shadow you can lay down some red, and that would give you a much more realistic looking kind of shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to wish you really well. I hope you have lots of fun with your Captain Jack Sparrow if you're going to have a go at doing one. I think I can scan a copy of this and maybe email it to Mum for you to have a look at. Perhaps also you might want to do your own drawing and then use some of those methods, colouring in methods, to finish your picture. And I'd love it if Mum could take a picture of a photograph of your work and then email it to me. That would be fantastic. I'd love that. But any photos that you do, any pictures that you do, I'd really love to see. And just as an example of photorealism, a friend of mine asked me if I do some bees from the garden. So you can see here, a similar technique, coloured in black pencil and then gone over the top with blue, and it gives the blue black of the bees there. So it's a really great technique to use. It's a lot of fun. And if you just want to play around with some colour, make yourself a couple of colour ladders, mix some bits together, and then you can test out lots of different things. So have lots of fun with your art, and hopefully Mum can email me and request if you'd like any more videos done of different things. But it would be great to hear from you, and I'm really pleased that you're enjoying your art. So you take care, Logan, and Mrs. Crowther will speak to you very, very soon.